Okay, guys, you know what day it is today. Today is the day of closing statements for the Trump trial in New York City. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, I'll go over real quick on exactly what this case is about and what's going on with it. So, excuse me, before the 2016 election, there is an allegation that Donald Trump slept with a woman named Stormy Daniels, okay? And she is a porn star, for lack of a better term. Now, we're not actually sure whether or not he did or not sleep with her, but I mean, she's kind of hot, it kind of makes sense. But at the time, one of Trump's lawyers by the name of Michael Cohen convinced Trump that he had to deal with this situation for either to save his reputation, to help him win the election, or to hide it from his wife, Melania. Now, personally, I believe that he did it to help hide it from his wife, Melania. Honestly, Bill Clinton had already gone into the Oval Office and was having sex with one of his interns. A sexual scandal for Trump would not have helped Hillary whatsoever, especially since she would be hypocritical to condemn Trump for it when she let her own husband get away with cheating on her in the Oval Office and she stayed with him. I believe they stayed together for political reasons. And you could argue maybe Melania and Trump stayed together for the same reason, but I think their love is a little bit more real than the Clintons, but that's just my personal bias. Anyways, this Michael Cohen, the Trump lawyer, was a really shady individual. He was exercising practices that really are looked down upon, as in they were felony illegal. Okay? One of the things he did is that he charged Donald Trump $50,000. I believe that's the amount. And then he gave the money to a company, or he handed the money over like he was supposed to, except he then kept $30,000 of it, which is grand larceny. Now, that is not what Michael Cohen was charged with. What Michael Cohen was specifically charged with was lying under oath and perjury. I think he lied in front of Congress. He's a convicted liar, for lack of a better term, okay? So he's a very untrustworthy individual. Excuse me for a second. That's good stuff. Not sponsored, by the way. But Michael Cohen is now the star witness for this case. What had happened is that Donald Trump paid Michael Cohen for services rendered. And he, in 37 payments, paid back Michael Cohen's and paid him extra so that he wouldn't, when he paid taxes, he would still make the amount of money that Donald Trump promised him. Donald Trump promised that he would get a certain amount of money, so he overpaid him so that he would end up with that amount of money after taxes were taken out. And this was done in 37 payments. Now, at minimum, the only problem with any of that is that it is completely fine to pay hush money. It is completely legal. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And anyone could have done this. I mean, Bill Clinton did this. He had sex with many, many women. He had many affairs, and some of them were accusing him of impropriety. Being, oh my god, I can't say that word. You know what? Screw it. I'm not going to bother. You know what I'm talking about, though. The R word, okay? Now, he had to pay off these women, and that is completely legal to pay them off. Why this case even came to court, then, is for those 37 charges that Donald Trump gave to Cohen. He paid him in such a way that it could be construed that this is an election finance that's been mislabeled, okay? So, he is paying money election money, in theory, in order to hush up this case while not uh, while not disclosing it as an election expense. Now, Donald Trump is more than rich enough in order to actually pay for this hush money without having to use campaign funds. He could easily pay out of pocket for it. So the only thing that this is that it is a misdemeanor to mislabel finance expenses. And it was way past the statute of limitations. This had been looked at by the federal government. It had been looked by the previous attorney general. It had been looked at by Alvin Bragg, and all of these people rejected it. One of the lawyers that worked for Alvin Bragg was just not having it, though. He just thought he knew better than anybody else and believed that this case should go to trial and that Donald Trump should go to jail. He had a huge vendetta against Donald Trump. And Alvin Bragg said, no, we're not going to do it, so the guy quit and wrote a book about it. Well, after all these years, with all this time that Alvin Bragg's been in office, he has not prosecuted this case. So, why would he do it now? Well, he only pushed the charges after Donald Trump decided to run for office. Now, you can make the argument that if Trump hadn't ran, he wouldn't have been charged, but that is exactly the problem. That would be election interference. The two main witnesses for this case were Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. And according to Stormy Daniels, she explained like the kind of acts they were doing in bed, which had nothing to do with the case. And the lawyers, Donald Trump's lawyers, were objecting the entire time. It's like, this has nothing to do with the case. This is about election finance law. Why are you telling him like what kind of positions you were having sex in? What? It just didn't make any sense. And the judge kept letting it happen. And at the end, he's like, you guys should have objected more. And the lawyer, like, looked at him and was like, are you insane? And then requested that the case be thrown out because obviously this was only meant to humiliate Trump and make him look bad in front of the jury and bias them against Trump. And the judge is like, nope, the case is still on. And then Michael Cohen comes out and basically admits that not only can Michael Cohen not even prove that Trump knew about the hush money payments, but they can't even. He also outright admitted that he stole tens of thousands of dollars from Donald Trump. Money that he was supposed to hand over to a third party, he instead pocketed for himself as to make up for the bonus that he believed that he was earned. The guy is an admitted liar. He had lied to Congress. He had lied to the court. He had stolen tens of thousands of dollars from Donald Trump. Both Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen both admitted on the stand under oath that they were, that they have a vendetta against Trump. And it's really bad for them. And we don't even know if Donald Trump even technically slept with Stormy Daniels. I mean, anyone can say that you screwed in the doggy position, doggy style. There were rumors that actual Michael Cohen was the one sleeping with him, and that Michael Cohen is lying, and that he requested the money to pay off Stormy Daniels without telling anybody that it was to pay off Stormy Daniels. And basically that he paid all this money to Stormy to hide the affair from Trump or other people in New York, because it would be bad for a high-end lawyer like himself to be caught having an affair. Now, I don't know if any of that's true. Honestly, I think that is more of the right wing putting that out there in order to try to discredit Cohen further, but he's already completely discredited, and he's already admitted that he wanted more money and he didn't get it, so therefore he just stole tens of thousands of dollars from his boss, lied under oath, and then did all this other crap. And then Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer, came out in defense of Donald Trump and basically said that he might have been willing to actually testify on Donald Trump's behalf. And Michael Avenatti was going after Trump for Stormy Daniels. She had broken the non-disclosure agreement, and therefore she would owe Trump all this money for violating it. She lost a whole bunch of cases against Trump in court, but Michael Avenatti was held up to be this rising Democrat star who would become the next president of the United States of America, and that he would lead this country to a new golden age for the Democrats. And then he ended up being arrested because he was threatening people, like outright threatening them for I think he was trying to like blackmail them or something like that. It had something to do with how he was handling the Stormy Daniels case. Like, he came out and just started threatening people, and he got thrown in jail for it. So his star completely collapsed as well. That's probably why Donald Trump didn't actually use him as a witness. It wouldn't be good optics for Donald Trump to be accusing Michael Avenatti of being a disgraced lawyer while he had a disgraced lawyer testifying for him as well. But what really sealed the deal for this case is that Cohen's lawyer came out. Now, Michael Cohen was going to Michael Cohen's lawyer was there to defend him from the perjury charges and all the other charges that he had been smacked with. And then Michael Cohen waived his right for attorney-client privilege, which means that the lawyer could basically say anything that Michael had said to him. And what this lawyer's basic premise was when he was defending Michael Cohen and he was talking to Michael Cohen, he was saying, hey, Michael, if they're not after you, they're after Trump. That much is obvious. You're just a lawyer. You're just a guy. Like, you're not important, basically. You're working for the most powerful man in New York City, or one of the most powerful men in New York City. If they're going after anybody, they're going after Trump. So what dirt do you have on Donald Trump to make you to go after them? And he asked Cohen this like a dozen times, and Cohen admitted over and over and over and over and over again that he had no dirt on Donald Trump. There was absolutely nothing he had on Donald Trump. He couldn't give the prosecution anything against Donald Trump. He couldn't promise to testify against Donald Trump. There was nothing. He had no leverage whatsoever against Trump. And I believe the guy. I believe both the lawyer and Donald Trump. And I believe that Michael Cohen actually said all that he actually had nothing on Donald Trump that would help him in the case. People were absolutely going after Donald Trump in 2016, 2015. That is 100% a thing. They wanted to stop him. They didn't think he was a serious candidate at first, but it was very clear that they wanted to get Trump because he was a Republican and that he was a threat to the establishment. After all, the whole Steele dossier was faked by Hillary Clinton. She got it from Steele, who used literal Russian assets to come up with this fake story that Donald Trump was having sexual affairs with Russian prostitutes and that he was filmed peeing on them. I mean, really bizarre stuff, and these tapes never manifested. And not only that, again, it came from an actual Russian asset. For those out there who still think that Trump is a puppet of Putin, it is 100% BS. Putin invaded Ukraine, Georgia, Azerbaijan under Bush, under Obama, under Biden. The only person he was afraid of was Donald Trump. He didn't invade a sovereign nation under Donald Trump, but he invaded everybody else under every other president. If Trump was the puppet of Putin, there would be more explicit invasions going on under Trump that would show that Putin was not afraid of Donald Trump, that Putin could do whatever the hell he wanted under Donald Trump, and it just never happened. Now, for the actual case in New York, it is obviously 100% BS. Why this case is so BS is because it hinges on one thing: election law. Okay? You cannot spend election money on personal expenses. However, there has to be a predicate crime. What a predicate crime is the crime that you're supposed to be covering up. If Trump was covering up a crime, it would have to be a federal election law crime. A federal crime that he would have to be covering up with these 37 payments. That did not happen. The federal government never charged Donald Trump with any crime. They looked at it and they saw no merit to the case. They never pursued it. There is no crime to cover up. However, the judge in charge of the case, Merchan, not only is he a Democrat donor, not only is his daughter working with Democrats and making millions of dollars in donation money from this court case. She is making all this money from this court case on the premise that Donald Trump is going to be convicted in order to raise money for for Joe Biden's candidacy, for his campaign. This is all a scheme to throw Trump in jail or to find him guilty on an elevated misdemeanor charge turned into a felony, artificially turned into a felony, and make it so that Donald Trump will suffer in the polls, which I don't think will happen. If Donald Trump is found guilty, he will surge in the polls. If he's not found guilty, he will surge in the polls for two different reasons. If he is found guilty, people will see him as a victim, as a guy who's being pursued because he is Donald Trump, because he's the Republican candidate, because Joe Biden is corrupt and he pushed this case. Joe Biden has Robert De Niro down there at the courthouse right now telling anybody who will listen that Donald Trump is guilty and that it's all about J6. Literally, he is talking about January 6th down there. This case has nothing to do with January 6th. It has to do with supposed crimes that happened in 2015. The judge is corrupt. Alvin Bragg is corrupt. Robert De Niro is working hand in fist with Joe Biden, and he is completely corrupt. It is all corruption, all the way down on the Democrat side. Trump is innocent. He is innocent. Even if he did pay money to Stormy Daniels, even if he knew about the money being paid to Stormy Daniels, hush money payments are not illegal. Trump is a billionaire. He had more than enough money to pay out of pocket for all of these expenses, all of these payments, without having to dip into finance from his campaign. That doesn't make any damn sense, okay? It's just so stupid. But this is New York City. And even though that two of the jurors are lawyers, Judge Merchan made it so that this case will be as easy to find a conviction as possible. He basically said that you can find him, if you all find him guilty on at least one charge, he will be guilty. It doesn't matter what crime you think he was covering up. It doesn't matter. As long as you find him guilty, he's guilty. Normally, you would have to figure out what crime he was actually covering up in order to find him guilty of election finance fraud. But they don't have to agree on that in this case, because Judge Merchan just wants the Democrats to win. They want them to have a win. and they're not going to get a win. There is no winning here. If Trump is found innocent, he'll say he's being persecuted. If he's found guilty, he'll say he's being persecuted. He'll go up in the polls either way. I'm hoping for an acquittal on old charges and just be done with this. But anyways, guys, that's over 20 minutes. That is the case. It's stupid, and hopefully by tomorrow or Thursday we'll have an acquittal, because if we get him guilty on any charges, hell, even a hung jury where some of them can't say that some or most of them can't say that he's guilty, I would just lose so much faith in America if they can't see how blatantly corrupt this whole case is. Anyways, that's it, guys. Bye.